So if you've ever seen mechanic owned on a car listing, that usually means just this. I knew when this engine went that that's what we were going to do. Oh, that's exactly what you want to see in your oil pan. Even myself am not immune to the old while you're in there. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DCMotorWerks. My name is Cameron, and I am currently identifying as the engine of my 2006 R350 Mercedes-Benz. This is the ugly duckling sports minivan. They called it like a sports grand tour or something, but it's essentially the unloved minivan from Mercedes-Benz that was built from about 2006 to about the 2012 model year for the US, which we'll get to in a little bit more in depth in a moment. But this was my wife's baby hauler for a few years, and then when I got her a newer car, this went to my mom. And about a year ago, the 272 decided to do early 272 things because this is a 2006 model, so it was plagued by the balance shaft issue where they didn't heat treat the gear properly on the balance shaft of the engine, and it essentially would stretch the timing chain and cause timing faults, and it can get bad. And I kind of limped it along for a while and just kept changing the oil and doing the thing. And then this happened. I think this one's had enough. So if you've ever seen mechanic owned on a car listing, that usually means just this. That it was limped along just to keep it running enough so that we didn't get that phone call that we didn't want from one of our loved ones. Thankfully, this one actually happened on me. I had the car at the time and I went to crank it up, and it made ugly noises and smoke out of the tailpipe. It was not good, but thankfully I didn't have to get that phone call. But this had been in the back of my mind for a while that I was going to have to do this. And as a shop owner with so much other stuff going on, it is tough to devote time to personal projects. But in the back of my head, I always knew that there were some R classes we didn't get in the US. Unfortunately, what's really weird about that is that all the R classes were built in Alabama. So we got the, was it the R420 with the twin turbo V8 diesel? We didn't get it, but it was built in Alabama. So I always wondered, you know, could you just have snuck one out of the plant back then? We got the early V8 R class, the R500 for the first 2 years, 2006 and 2007. But after that, it was R350 only and the diesel, which we won't talk about. But we never got a V8 after that, unless you got the first year R63, which was 1 year again. So after 07, no more V8 R classes. But overseas, they got the R550. So it got the M273, which you know we love if you want to watch that video up there. And it is in the same engine family as the M272. So the old brain got to thinking, well, if they built the R550, then so can I. I knew when this engine went that that's what we were going to do, and that is exactly why I am here today, is because we are V8 swapping my Mercedes minivan. And if you've been a longtime subscriber, and if you're not, make sure you like, subscribe, bell icon, all that stuff, is that I rear-wheel drive converted this a few years ago. So you can watch that video up in there, shameless plugs. So it is already 2-wheel drive, and the 6 cylinders have a shorter rear end ratio. And we're gonna put a V8 in it that was factory rated at 382 horsepower, but we're gonna spice that up a little with a little software programming, and it should be about 410 horsepower, 2-wheel drive minivan. So this is gonna be a lot of fun, but let's show you the work that's already in action. But before we do that, R classes are cheap. So this is the cheap entry into a rear-wheel drive V8 and all of the good stuff. And especially about this particular one is that it is equipped with the 4-corner ADS suspension, or adaptive damping suspension. So normal R classes were equipped with just rear air for level control, but this one is 4-corner with adaptive dampers. And this thing in sport mode is pretty spicy. It's been on some mountain runs with the Mercedes-Benz Club, and it hangs with the big boys, except in the power department. But we're fixing that today. And again, they're cheap. So if this goes well, we could do it again. So this is the M272 engine, the original engine that came out of my R class. And it's very broken. The oil is milkshaked, and it makes some ugly noises. And actually, here is my lower oil pan out of this engine. It's a little worse for wear. You can see it's a little icky in here. We got some intermix there, that milkshake I was talking about, and also some chunks of bearing material. That's exactly what you want to see in your oil pan. And yeah, it's quite pleasant. This one had seen its last revolution. Let's go see the good stuff. So this is the new heart of our class. This is the M273 engine. This is the E55 variant, so the 5.5 liter, the big one, you know, the one that you want. They did also make a smaller displacement of this engine, but we don't want that. We want the full fat 5.5 liter, 382 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque. But again, we're gonna spice that up a little. And at first glance, other than it swinging around, it probably looks just like that one. And that harkens back to what I said earlier, that these are the same family of engine. They are what they call a modular design, and that essentially all they did was add a cylinder on either side at the back of the motor. Everything else is pretty much the same. You get the engine computer here on top, and everything is exactly the same. And in Mercedes' infinite wisdom, in their beauty in engineering, I thank them a lot for this. It is super easy to get out, and everything just kind of is the same. You don't have to swap the engine harness or anything because it is all pretty much shared. You can see the engine harness is still plugged in, and that's because all you have to do is pull this connector, this connector, and this connector, and that is all the electrical stuff you pretty much have to do other than the starter alternator, which is like 2 bolts. So super easy to do. Has the same O2 sensor harness as well. And I got this out of an S-Class. Were this out of a 164 chassis, a GL or an ML 550, it would be pretty much exactly bolt-in, but this is the one I found for a good deal. And on an S-Class, these run along the driver's side of the engine, but on the R, they run along the passenger side. But essentially the same bracket and everything is easy there. You know, on the production line, Mercedes isn't going to want to be swapping a bunch of parts and having different engine blocks and things like that to put in cars. That just adds a lot of production costs and things like that. Pretty much everything on the base engine is the same. They'll change like the upper oil pan, the lower oil pan, engine mount brackets to fit different cars, exhaust manifolds, and that is exactly what I have going on here. Is I am swapping all the parts I need to change over, which really was just the engine mount brackets, the lower oil pan, which I showed you earlier, I need to save that, and the exhaust manifolds. That is pretty much it. I did go ahead and swap the alternator because the engine I got came with the S-Class alternator and AC compressor and all the accessories, but I swapped all that over to make sure it stays the same, power steering pump, but it all bolts right in. So you can see there's stuff strewn about everywhere, and that is because I started this project yesterday on a Sunday. Like I said earlier, you don't have a lot of time to do personal projects here in the shop. Even myself am not immune to the old while you're in there. And that is part of what I'm doing now also, is preparing this engine and getting all that low-hanging fruit while it is here to make sure that I don't have to do anything while it is back in the car. Like I said, I already have to swap the exhaust manifolds and a few things to adapt this engine to fit in the R-Class. So I went ahead and put some new engine mounts in. The exhaust gaskets will be new, but these have just a few common oil leaks that are super easy. Mainly just the oil filter housing, and we've got the cam plugs and stuff back here on the back of the motor, which I can kind of show you with my moving display here. So put a cam plug there, you got one there, one here, and then the centrifuge cover there, which that one was new. And this engine also had all new coil packs, so super exciting to see that. And the only other real like common fault on these is the thermostat stick open. So we're doing that while we're in there too. So this will be all ready to go back in its new home. So on this side of the motor, we have a few more things we're addressing. Some belts, some new pulleys. I also have a new starter here on the floor, because the 273 starters are known to, they build up like internal resistance and they'll act like they have a dead battery. They will spin really slow or they won't spin at all. And that is kind of a pain to do in the car. You can see the starter there down below me. It's got this obnoxious heat shield and everything on it. So again, addressing all those phone calls that I could get before I put it in. I also have one coil to put in. Apparently it had 7 new coils. I don't know why they left one, but I've got extra ones from the other motor because it is all the same. But unfortunately, I have hit a little snag, and that was the exhaust manifolds. I did not research this ahead of time as well as I should have. I just knew I wanted to do it. So I have to get some exhaust manifolds, which are being overnighted so that I can get this project done before I kind of lose steam and kind of forget where things go and stuff. as we tend to do, we get distracted and that sort of thing. But in the next video, this will be going back in the car, and we'll do a first drive and see how exciting a two-wheel drive, 400 horsepower V8 mini van SUV thing is like, because it will be, I think, the only one in the USA, because that darn Mercedes built them here but decided that we shouldn't have them. But there never was a V8 two-wheel drive one, so it will be the own in that regard. But if you like what you see here and want to see what's next, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and we'll see you for some V8 minivan burnouts very soon.
Cameron?
You good, Paul?
You don't have that engine in this thing yet?
No.
It's like a 2-hour job, no?
I gotta wait for parts. I'm not immune.
Okay.
I'm not immune.
Okay.
I'm not immune.
All right, let's push it out.
You ready?
1 horsepower.
Wait, why am I pushing?
You know, that's a good question. You tear your Achilles being a goofball.
Jeez, Paul. How much weight you put on?
We'll know when it hits the wall there, that word. Too close.